The fight that never happened the next morning. At the police station, Don had been hogtied. He couldn't yell at Ferguson for stealing his girl in front of said girl, nor could he go for the guy's throat in front of the cops. And Jessica was safe from his attack for her faithlessness, not only because Don hadn't called her all week, but also because he held lovingly in his hand the telephone number of the beauteous Kiki. This left him only me to yell at for forgetting to report that stolen car not stolen, which prompted me to offer to run him over with the aforementioned car. "I can't believe you did this!" Don roared at the Peach, who was making things worse by being totally unruffled. "Haven't you ever heard of territory? You don't move in on another guy's girl!" "I didn't," said Ferguson. "She asked me out." "Aha!" Don was triumphant. "I caught you in a lie, and I can prove it. Jessica didn't have my number, I just had hers, so there's no way she could get in touch with you." "I was riding home in your uncle's limo, and we were stopped at a light, and I noticed Jessica waiting for the bus. It was raining, and I knew she lived around here, so I offered her a lift." "That's even sleazier!" raged Don. "Using wealth and power to oppress a girl! How low can you get?" Hey, interrupted Rootbeer. "Don't you guys know that arguments like this can cause stress, and stress causes executive burnout?" A mind-your-own-business died on Don's lips. Rootbeer had been with us for a while, and all had been serene, but none of us ever lost sight of the fact that at any moment we could be on the receiving end of bad luck. "You guys should take an interest in my stamp collection," the giant went on. "It really gets your mind off the pressures." Don got his mind off Jessica by putting a call through to Kiki. It lasted about 10 seconds. "Her dad answered the phone," he told me. "What a bonehead that guy is." "He didn't let you talk to her?" I asked. "Worse than that, he said there's no Kiki here." "What are you gonna do?" Don shrugged. "Keep calling until she answers. I'll try in the daytime when he's at work." Plotnik's voice came up through the vent. "If my daughter got phone calls from such a chrome polisher specialist like you, I'd commit suicide, kill myself, and then jump off a building." "I'm feeling stress," said Rootbeer warningly. I thought there wasn't a man alive who wouldn't be intimidated by Rootbeer. I was wrong. Plotnik could laugh off the neutron bomb if it wasn't going to cost him money. "No wonder," he called back. "There's a lot of pressure in the gorilla business these days. You never know where your next banana is coming from." I was excited. I couldn't wait for Rootbeer to go down there and rearrange some of Plotnik's lard. I would have helped, or at least called out suggestions. But Rootbeer just returned to his stamps. In his mammoth paws, he held up 2 tiny identical American stamps depicting Thomas Jefferson. "Hey, you've got 2 of that one," Don commented. "The book says they're different," said Rootbeer, squinting his eyes into slits. "One's supposed to have 10.5 perforations, the other only 10. He began to count with an index finger 3 times the width of the stamp. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on, I think I missed that one. 1, 2, 3. Suddenly, he slammed the album shut hard enough to fuse the pages and bellowed, "It's wash day!" In one lightning motion, he had the poncho over his head. An avalanche of stuff rained to the floor. An egg beater, 3 pairs of sunglasses, 1 scuba flipper, a few crumpled bills and the odd coin, an Aztec fertility charm, a New Orleans City bus pass good for October 1981, an alarm clock with only 1 hand, a toilet brush, a mummified liverwurst sandwich, a Bulgarian Greek pocket dictionary, a lime green Nerf ball, and a diploma in the name of Gavin Gunhold from the University of Iowa. That was just the highlights. The pile was up to his knees and things were still appearing. There were elastic bands and paper clips by the hundreds, a tangle of electrical wires, miles of string, wads of tape, random magnetic chess pieces, lint-covered raisins, and something that was either the Hope Diamond or a great big glass bottle stopper. The three of us just stood there with our mouths hanging open as Root Beer stepped out of the town dump and proceeded to rip off the rest of his clothes, a sight that would make a summer all its own. Then he filled up the tub, shook in half a box of Tide, and dumped all his clothes in. With the toilet brush, I wondered what that could be for. He pushed his laundry back and forth like a witch stirring her brew. And by this time, the suds were on the ceiling. Then, satisfied that everything was moving along, he climbed into the tub himself and began scrubbing his back with the toilet brush. Why didn't I know that was coming? The phone rang. "Hello, darling." It was my mother. "Anything new?" "It's wash day." Since I had to go get the newspaper anyway for the employment section, I was in charge of the shopping. On Monday, I was in the grocery store filling up my cart with our usual instant everything when someone called my name. I looked up. There was Jessica, smiling and gesturing. Didn't it figure? I strut myself all over the neighborhood with absolutely no results, and now that I've finally written her off, guess who finds me? "Am I ever glad to see you?" she said, waving a clipboard under my nose. "I'm totally confused." "Well, first you have to get a cart." No, I'm not shopping. This is an assignment for school." I stared at her. "Summer school," she said distastefully. "I flunked a course this spring and my mom says I have to make it up." "Yeah? The wonder is Jessica got pushed around by her mom too. How human of her. What course?" She looked ashamed. "Home ec." "Home ec?" I laughed in her face. It felt great. "How do you fail home ec?" Even Dawn had managed to get a D- in home ec. She looked at me belligerently. "If you put salt instead of sugar in the souffle, and you sew the waistband to the bottom of the apron instead of the top, and you set fire to your recipe book, you flunk," she shrugged sheepishly. "Especially if you cut a lot of classes and forget to show up for the final exam." She showed me her clipboard on which she had written exactly one word: beans. "What's this?" "My homework. It's a cost versus nutrition chart on at least 25 different products." "You can help me." "What an honor!" For this bright shining moment, I found myself wishing I had Plotnick's mouth. I mean, what had she done for me lately? All I said was, "Well, I'm kind of in a hurry to get home so I can start looking for a job. This'll take 2 seconds, she assured me, grabbing my arm and dragging me down the canned vegetable aisle. Very quickly, I learned why Jessica had flunked home ec. She didn't know a pea from a carrot, and it was because she didn't want to know. I've never seen anybody care so little. I ended up doing the whole assignment. When the chart was complete, I handed her the clipboard and she looked at it in disgust. "This course is so stupid! What a waste of my time!" was her comment. I nodded in agreement. A waste of my time. She glanced at her watch. "Oh no, I'm late for class!" And she and her homework galloped off. "You're welcome," I called sarcastically. But I was a coward. I waited until she was out of earshot. An hour and a half behind schedule, I started the shopping. But it didn't go very well. Every time I picked up an item, I kept seeing it on Jessica's stupid chart. Our usual groceries were among the most expensive and the least nutritious items in the store. Maybe this home ec assignment wasn't so stupid after all. When you buy instant and prepared stuff, it costs a whole lot more than when you buy the ingredients and make it yourself. Plus, instant food is full of tons of chemicals. In fact, when I checked all the labels on the stuff we'd been eating the last few weeks, there was monosodium glutamate and polysorbate 60 in every single thing. So I got this brilliant idea. Instead of buying microwave chicken nuggets, I'd buy chicken. Instead of TV dinners, I'd buy real food. And while saving $1 or $1.50 here and there didn't seem like much, you've got to figure on 3 people eating 3 meals a day, each consisting of at least 4 or 5 elements. We could save $25 a day, $750 a month. More if you calculated it against Plotnick's deli prices. Maybe Jessica was going to get nothing out of her course, but to me, it was the answer to our economic prayers. Since the cash value was going to be enormous, I didn't feel bad about spending 2 hours filling my basket with exactly the right foods according to the 90s cookbook for the woman on the go, which I bought too. In fact, by the time I got all that stuff home, I realized that I'd forgotten to buy the paper. Oh well, at a savings of $750 a month, job hunting could certainly wait until tomorrow, and I owed it all to that ingrate Jessica Lincoln. I didn't want to start off too fancy, so I figured I'd make hamburgers. Wouldn't you know it, there wasn't one word in that stupid, useless cookbook about hamburgers. So I phoned the publisher. Turns out they wouldn't refund my money, but the lady talked me through her own recipe. I'd save time by cooking them up now and nuking them in the microwave at dinner. The problem was, I hadn't had lunch yet. So I ate mine for lunch, and I have to say it was great. While I was working on a 4th burger to replace the one I'd eaten, root beer came in and scarfed down the other 2. Then I was out of ground beef. So we split the last burger and I settled on roast chicken for dinner. The book said put the chicken in a 325-degree oven and forget about it for 2 hours. That left me time to make soup. I couldn't wait to see the look on Ferguson and Don's faces when they got home to find a meal fit for the king waiting for them. I was slicing onions and weeping delicately into a paper towel when there was a loud buzz behind me. A small World War I Fokker triplane whizzed past my ear and landed with a resounding kerplop into the soup. I wheeled and faced root beer. There he stood in the center of the living room, remote control in hand, looking annoyed. "What a place to put soup!" "Sorry." Here I was, apologizing for preparing dinner in such a ridiculously unexpected location as the stove. Fear of bad luck does that to a person. Root beer fished out his plane out of the pot and licked the propeller experimentally. "Not bad, a little oily." I examined the soup. It was a lot oily. "Root beer, what?" I indicated the Red Baron in his hands. "I'm into model planes now. Stamp collecting isn't a real hobby. It gives you a headache." I looked over to the corner where the stamp albums now rested against the tripod, the boxes of Kodak paper, and the developing chemicals. The camera was gone, probably to the pawn shop to finance the Luftwaffe. Root beer placed the plane on the floor and manipulated the remote control. The engine sputtered, then labored, then died. He tried again. This time the propeller spun around a few times, the craft moved forward an inch or two, and then died. Try number 3 didn't yield a peep. Root beer shook his head. "You go into something for relaxation, and you end up more stressed out than before because they sell you a piece of garbage." With that, he stormed out of the apartment. Dinner shaped up deliciously. The chicken was smelling great. The new pot of soup, sans motor oil, simmered on the stove. The salad was crisp and fresh, and as a special treat, I was baking a cake. It wasn't one of the top items on Jessica's chart. It was a delicious chocolate fudge cake mix, but I hadn't been able to resist buying it. I was about to put it in the oven when an unseen force took me over. See, when I was a little kid, my mother always used to make delicious cakes. Being allowed to lick the spoon and scrape the bowl was the best thing in my life. Delicious cakes were pretty good, sure, but nothing was better than delicious cake mix before it got baked. I always used to say that if I had my way, that glorious stuff would never get near an oven. It was only my mother's presence that kept me from eating the whole thing. And today, she was in Owen Sound. The real point of being on your own was getting to do stuff you normally couldn't. I started with a tiny little bit on the end of my finger. It was 10 times better than I remembered it. I found the biggest soup spoon in the place and went to work. When the dust cleared, there was enough mix left for 3 cupcakes. That's when the phone rang. It was Don. "I'm going to be working late tonight, Jason, so don't wait for me." I was crushed. "But I cooked a great dinner!" A crackle of laughter came through the receiver. "Yeah, right, sure you did. See you later." Click. It wasn't 30 seconds later that the phone rang again. Ferguson. "Get your butt over here," I said. "Wait till you see what I've made for dinner." "I'm in New York," said the peach. "What? Why?" "Mr. Robb needed me to meet some people from the U.S. operation. They want me to tour their plant, so I won't be back till late." But I've been slaving over a hot stove all day." "Sorry, gotta go. I'll see you tonight." I staggered back into the kitchen and stared at all that food, simmering, stewing, and cooling, and at the table, which looked really classy, I bellowed, "Who's gonna eat my dinner?" The door opened, and stormed in Root Beer, muttering, "Stupid model planes! Gotta be the stupidest hobby in the whole stupid world! Hey, what smells so good?" Root Beer ate more than Don and Ferguson could have managed together, even if they'd both come home famished. "You're a great cook, Jason! That was fantastic!" "Thanks," I said, "pleased to help me with the dishes." He said, "Sure thing," and went into Manchurian Bush meditation, slipping off his chair with an enormous crash. As I washed up by myself, up to my ears in suds, it was the best thing about the meal that came back to me. The cupcakes. Well, not actually the finished product. I was gonna have to get more of that mix. Fantastic!